The June 15th, 2026 meeting of the Senior Advisory Committee to order. And do a roll call and determine
Absolutely. Jonathan Witham
here.
and Joshua Geezy.
Here.
Joshua Gilu.
Here.
Warren Leonard, whose proxy is Hamath Jane today.
Here.
Joel Thacker. Andrea Bond.
Here.
Steve Kane.
Here.
Eric Giesel. Ryan Baird.
Here.
Kevin Hobson. And Jack Seeks. We are,
Good, okay. Just be even better once Kevin's here.
Yep.
All right, item 3, let's go through the minutes from the October 17th meeting. And I'll open it up if anybody has any comments or modifications. Not, I would entertain order to, or a motion, excuse me, a motion to do those minutes from the October 17th meeting.
you're fine.
Good morning. Sorry. No problem. We knew you were.
We knew you were coming.
Yeah. Are there any changes to the October 17th meeting minutes? Ordinance. All right, we've got a motion to approve. We have a second. Second. We'll do a roll call real quick.
All right, Jonathan Witham,
Yes.
Joshua Geezy.
Yes.
Gilu.
Yes.
Hamath Jane.
Yes.
Joel Thacker. Andrea Bond.
Yes.
Steve Kane.
Here. Yay.
Eric Giesel. Ryan Baird.
Yes.
Kevin Hobson.
Yes.
And Jack Seeks.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to discussion and I'll let you take that.
Okay, let me. Here. So I just want a couple of reminders. So this is the purpose of the SAC. And then we'll get to the discussion, which is 30 seconds here. So our goal here is to support a whole community approach with these SHSP funds and advising the direction. Okay.
This is a requirement, right?
It is a requirement of the grant. And then, for Indiana purposes, you are required, as a member of the committee, you're required to come at least one time in a calendar year, physically to the meeting. Quorum means majority, present physically and virtually. And then for the open door law, at least a third of the members have to physically be present. So we've made all those. Again, thank you all for coming and being so responsive with your availability. When I put out, hey, here are the choices, getting right back to me, I really appreciate that. It's way easier to get the meeting scheduled. So we generally meet 3 times a year. Give or take. Sometimes there's an extra one in there, depending on how FEMA works that year. So, we're kind of doing some of meeting 3, mostly meeting 3, a little bit of meeting 1 is where we're kind of at today. Things are still a little weird because of last year. And before we get into the discussion, let me give you an update on SHSP 25, because we still have not been able to award that yet. We are closer. FEMA has all the projects. They have released the funding hold, but they have put a programmatic hold on all of the national priority projects and all the LETPA, so the law enforcement terrorism prevention activity projects. So we're kind of waiting until all of that gets released. Or at least we have more information about what is for sure approved and what's not. to get those award letters. Obviously, as soon as they come out, we're sending them out. But that's kind of where we're at. We did end up using the NOFO list of potential awardees to submit. Because that was the number we got back to. Any questions on that?
How much funding is that in 25?
4 million and some change.
Okay.
I don't remember.
That's-
Second.
It's all held.
Yes.
Until.
Yeah.
We get the
Mhm.
information or what's released.
Yeah.
0.362.
There you go. All right, so the discussion we're gonna have today is about all the questions that came up while we were doing those funding determinations, last October. So long ago. So the first subject is drones and then counter drones, but we'll start with drones. Last year, we didn't allow it because, we didn't know how they would get approved. We've learned a little bit more. So all the people that handle the privacy and the PPI information and civil liberties, they don't exist at FEMA anymore. So apparently, been told by our program officer, program officers just get to approve it. Which means it would probably go faster, but it's really whether we want to be in the drone business or not. That's up to you guys.
This would be request to purchase equipment, not the counter drone technology necessarily.
Right, we're just talking about the actual drones at this moment.
Is there still a ban or potential ban on DJI as a vendor?
I think so, yes.
Still in place,
It's
right?
currently on the no-go list.
Okay.
Because this is a Buy
Maintain
American.
them still.
Okay.
DJI is actually still providing software updates for ours. 99% of our fleet is still DJI.
Yeah.
So that's a surprise. We figured they're gonna kill that off and the change, but yeah, we're engaging with a ton of Blue US partners right now.
Okay.
Yeah, you can still find the DJI market at price points about 2.5 times where it was last year.
That's the question on the drone side. And the counter drone side, there, will be a grant coming out. Part of the FIFA 250 America. Big beautiful bill funding that will, be open to all states. That is specifically about counter drones. We don't know when it will drop, of course. But, so whether we want to, if we get any counter drone projects, funnel them toward that funding, and or Easy, you had some stuff to say about this too.
Sure. I mean, we continue to explore the counter drone side. You know, we have working relationship with the NFL and obviously Colts and specifically with Swarm. So there's a Drone City with the aerial armor before. That's a notification someone dissemination. What we can freely kind of push out to our rest of our public partners from that account. Hey, this is what we're seeing out to, I think, 20 mile. Well, actually, technically, we can look at about 50, but there's the TFRs, the temporary flight restrictions that are placed on Luke soil and other large sporting events and venues here in the city. So we can at least do the identification side. Really can't do a mitigation. I mean, we can only with DHS authority because we still don't have, we've got the bills coming down,
Yeah.
the training's out there at the FBI. We're waiting on sending 4 of our people to get that. So should we have the training, then maybe we'd have the opportunity to have that conversation with DHS about if we mitigate, would you give us the capability of, and their mitigation is non-kinetic, so it'd be pushing the drone away, forcing them to do a return home. So back to whoever was piloting it. We're very interested in that side. We're, I think, dodging bullets left and right now, but we had actually the Pride parade this weekend on Mass Ave. We had an illicit drone pop up. It was super low. and just dumb, hobbyist pilot, knew the rules, and he was probably 10 feet off people's heads. You're just waiting for someone to get hurt. We saw, we didn't have to go look for it. It wasn't even like waiting for it to show up on our D-drone feed or anything. We already knew. And of course, we couldn't get a TFR for that yet. We've been very lucky with the DHS and TSA here. They've given us TFRs for almost anything, but that population group was just not high enough for them to authorize it. But that being said, I'm terrified every time we have that event, because it would take one of those to spray any chemical, just bleach, and we could have hundreds of injured sprayers. So we're considering and continue to look at that, but obviously we have to have your training first, and then we'll have to build policy. We're still working on that side of it, but at least we can start mirroring what's going on out there. And I sit on the Major Cities Chiefs Association, UAS and Counter UAS working group. So we've been in contact with El Paso, Texas is probably the best example of local law enforcement using counter drone technology. Now they have authorization from Border Patrol down there, because their jurisdiction takes up all the major airports around their military installations that are close to El Paso, to the border, and they get the cartels flying in all the time, violating U.S. airspace. So DoD gave them authority to take down, so they can do both kinetic and non-kinetic. So learning a lot from them about what to consider. The market for identification is changing. Some of the systems were $1 million. Now there's a handheld that we have 3 of that are under $1,000, and they go out to about 3 miles. So I can set up a mesh network really quick and build identifying drones. It's something, still not mitigation, which is the part that we're most concerned with, I think, on the law enforcement end. Is I don't want the drone coming near. Now that I know what it is, that's great. But now I don't want it to come near me. So
And if people do apply for counter drone, we will have to double check whether the mitigation part is still a prohibited part of the AEL. Because I know it was when Fort Wayne got theirs. And so that's something we'll need to check very closely what they're doing and what the AEL says they can or cannot do with grant funded stuff.
You mentioned counter drone twice. I'm not clear on what that is.
So that would be keeping a drone away from a place or people.
That's
Ultimately.
what I assume that.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of that, when I say non-kinetic, meaning either sending a signal or blocking a signal or jamming a signal to the ground station. So where I'm controlling, whether it's on my phone or on some other device, to that aerial platform. That's non-kinetic, being able to force it. All of them now, that will probably change over time. In fact, we're seeing that in El Paso, the software and hardware built in, or firmware built into the drones. Normally, if it loses signal, loses contact between the ground station, or runs into interference, it's trained to go back to where it launched from. So that's return to home function. Most of them, all of DJI have those. Anybody else, all the American Blue UAS or develop have that too. But we are finding people are just like iPhones, cracking it, removing that firmware, putting third-party firmware that doesn't have that safety built in.
Jailbreaking.
Yes, absolutely. And then those are used for illicit purposes, whether it's go over a prison, drop some illicit packages out in the yard so guys can pick them up, do what they do with it. That's happening. And those, obviously, the non-kinetic functioning doesn't work anymore. And so that's what they're seeing down there. And they're having to do kinetic, taking it over or frying it. So basically microwave kind of high frequency stuff and dropping it over an open airspace. They have to find a safe landing. And, in a city environment, we have to worry about that also. Every event we plan for counter drone, we actually have a safe LC. Someplace I know if I had to, we're going to drop it with whatever means necessary.
So you may have addressed this and I missed it, but is the counter drone everybody, or are there some that it doesn't? Some that it does?
In terms of who's authorized to do it?
Who it's blocking?
Okay, it's generally right now, at least the technology in the US, because of all of our rules, is very specific. The kinetic would be targeted at something, but usually kind of like almost a shoulder mounted sort of device. The permanent ones are a little bit different. Those are like military grade, and there's not very many of those out there. They're on the borders, but it would be individually targeted at the device. Now, the Other non-kinetic ones are generally everybody. So if you fall into a TFR, or you fall into an area that's been protected, it would push them away, send all of them back to their owners, which is fine. It's gonna find, a safe flight path and get back to its owner, which is exactly what I want. And then I can talk to the owner and we can have a real serious conversation about what they violated and we can send that up. We've been successful sending that up to TSA and they have, prosecuted a few on federal levels because it's still at a federal level right now. State laws, not so great on that right now. So,
My comment question leads to, can there be some abuse of the system?
there could be, like anything. Right now, that technology would be limited. Of course, it's completely limited to, federal law enforcement. We can't do it, don't have the authorization yet. Once we're trained and then have it, local law enforcement, state law enforcement, and state police is by the state law now, is the initial authority, and then we would be granted authority by ISP to take over in a jurisdiction. So there's somewhat of an umbrella control throughout the state of who's going to be able to do that. At least that's how I've read the laws. It's all conjunction right now because no one's got capability or training or authorization completely.
For our purposes, it's whether we want to make these systems allowable for SHSP or just stay out of the business altogether and say from the get-go, hey, we're not funding these projects.
And the downside to funding them or potentially funding them and keeping them eligible would be, there's still a lot of stuff that has to play itself out. And we may have a lot of people apply for funding that we, however many months from now say, we don't know if you'll be able to use this if you got it,
Right.
because those rules may not have played themselves out yet. So, from my perspective, which is not using this type of technology yet, or having that direct relationship like IMPD does, I would say we're probably better off avoiding this unless you think that it would benefit some of the potentially larger jurisdictions that would be those initial players, right?
Yeah,
like
and
IMPD.
speaking agency wise, of course.
Yeah.
I'm still very concerned that we don't have everything worked out.
Yeah.
Like we have still not had that conversation with ISP yet. Like I know what it looks like, but I don't know that ISP knows exactly what this is gonna look like for, okay, we talked to IMPD and how does that work? There's a lot that has to be fished out. And I think tying up grant money would be my concern more than anything. There's so many other needs.
Yeah.
Maybe we give it one more year and let everything work itself out.
And we know this other funding is coming.
This is true.
We don't know how much it is, but we know it is coming.
Might be in the hundreds of millions, whatnot. Not
And
sure.
that funding's interesting. And maybe I'm not thinking about it clearly, but the FIFA stuff is happening right now,
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
So is this funding coming out after
Yes.
and
Because they did 2
intended
years.
to? Okay.
So the first year, it came out to just the cities hosting.
Okay, all right, so that has already rolled out.
That's already
Hopefully
rolled
those-
out and
I was gonna say-
hopefully they got it in
Most of them
time.
don't.
Moving
I
into
don't-
Talking with them, most of them are
Yeah.
not receiving.
of government,
But
we're gonna
the-
give all this money out
The
after.
second, the second year is supposed to be open to all the states
Okay.
for these purposes.
Okay,
Yeah, no, it's interesting fun.
all right.
So for the sake of discussion, what we've just talked about. Are there any guardrails moving forward or requirements or documentation if counties start requesting? Would we be the group to come up with requirements document to qualify for an application? If it comes from, say,
I'm not sure.
because,
For the other funding, I'm not sure.
okay. Because I can almost see, well, I'll give you an example. Last year when I was doing my state county visit for preparation for fire hire and all that, Wells County was talking, Miami County was talking about they would like to apply for a drone for their use because of Miami Correctional Prison. where they've already seen, like you mentioned, packages being flown into the parameter and being dropped in there. And with what we've just talked about here, I'm thinking, okay, is there a way, a mechanism where we can vet? And I don't like to say, do we want to get into the drone business? Not, that's a different story. Is there a way? And I'm just saying, vetting who applies, what's their requirement, and they qualify. And then the second part is, maybe we can leverage on mutual aid, where counties, if they have grandiose events through mutual aid, they can reach out to Marion County and say, hey, if your drones are available on part of the road list, can we have your pilot come for that day? And through mutual aid, we can close that gap, instead of getting into the drone business of where we have to create a requirements document, vet the application, and da. I'm just thinking out loud here.
Mhm.
Talking.
So we're really talking about the NOFO right now, right?
Right.
We're talking about what's gonna be eligible, what's not. So I'm gonna kind of go back on my comment earlier. I don't know that I really want to exclude anything right now, but if we can identify our priorities, or even if we identify our low based on lack of information, lack of guidance, it would be nice in the NOFO if we could say, these are still eligible for equipment, drone equipment, if you want to buy them now, outside of DJI, probably, right?
Right, and we still have to fit whatever is allowable.
Yeah, or the counter drone, software or equipment or whatever that looks like. But as of right now, those will be lower on the priority project list for this grant program. So if we get 100 applications and, 90 of them,
Or really well,
and we
but
can only fund 50 of them, then we're probably not going to fund any of the drone or counter drone stuff. Now, if we get 50 and we can fund all 50, then maybe. But, so we keep it open. But I think we make it very clear that these will be limited in the number that are approved, if any, because of the lack of guidance right now. And that may change by the time we get to the point where we're, right? I mean, we may have,
I think that argument is an argument to just exclude, period. Because we never fund all the top priorities in the 6-7 years I've been here.
Mm.
And so, is it life-saving? Might be, might not be, so. I'm not arguing to exclude them, I'm
No,
just
I-
making the argument that because of the funds, we could exclude.
the only reason I don't necessarily want to exclude them right now is because by the time we get to the NOFO, by the time we get to the award decisions, a lot of things could change. And we may be in a much better spot. We may also be in a spot where drones are now the biggest threat to events, right? And we want to really surge up our counter drone capabilities around the state. So if that's 6 months from now or longer.
hopefully not.
Hopefully.
They will follow the rules and it will drop very soon,
Yeah.
but
But I guess I just want to keep the option open, but make it
I
clear
understand
to
that.
people that as of right now, or as of the NOFO date, this would not be a high priority based on the current
and
status of
if
all.
they do apply, especially for counter drone, then we know who wants them when the other grant pops out. And we can say, okay, we're definitely not gonna fund you here, but what you put in this application makes sense for this other grant.
Say if we do, just to touch base or go back to your point about the mutual aid. It's definitely a conversation piece. If we go forward as we're building these out in congested counties like Marion County, we would be ridiculous. And it's why I constantly talk with Director Spence and the rest of my safety partners about what we're gonna do with counter drone, what we're doing with drones. If we have to be on the same page, it'd be it's asinine, and we wouldn't be working together to come up with an appropriate program. Capitol Police will have a DFR program. We should understand what theirs is. Their drone for, as a first responder should tie into ours and so forth. If Lawrence decides to do one, we should probably have them together. Because A, it's drone mitigation, just deep infliction alone. Like our boundaries are only on paper. And they're inches away from each other in the air. So we've got to have that covered. And it's also a much more efficient way of utilizing that counter drone technology as well as, just the drone awareness. If you put a drone in the air, drone as a first responder program in Lawrence, Speedway should know about it, I should know about it, State Capitol Police should know about it because we're all touching each other's border accounts. So maybe we work that into those requirements as we put out that info. We're going to do that and, population center like Fort Wayne's considering, they should probably be talking to everybody in the county. Same with us. We'd be ignorant to be throwing up a program and not be talking IMS because they will throw out their drone to go look for a lost child on a medical run.
Yeah, quite a bit to still.
I appreciate metro and large population issues, but there's a ton of local county events.
Yeah.
And those could easily be attacked.
Sure.
They're, in some ways, I think they're more
They
susceptible.
were softer.
Yeah.
So do we need anything official on this? Or just discussion?
I would prefer a vote.
I do too.
A motion and a second and a vote.
Yeah, and it would basically be whether to keep them as eligible for this upcoming grant cycle or exclude them, right? Okay. I can make a motion if I need to. I'll move that we keep drones and counter drone technology or equipment as eligible, but we make it clear in the NOFO that they will be lower on the priority list of projects in the evaluation process.
I think that last part is important. Sure.
All right, so we got a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Okay. Any further discussion on drones? All right, take a vote.
All right, Jonathan Witham,
Yes.
Easy,
Yes.
Pilu, Emmett Jane,
Yes.
Joel Thacker, Andy Bond,
yes,
okay,
Here, vote, yes.
Eric Hazel, Brian Baird,
Yes.
Kevin Hobson, Jackson.
Okay, we're good. Thank you. It was good discussion and we'll keep tracking it because it's not going anywhere. Hopefully it's moving in the right direction. Get some clarity on that soon.
Okay, so this one came up a lot when we did the funding determinations in the fall about the eligibility of Marion and Hamilton County projects through SHSP, assuming we have UASI funds. Obviously, if we don't have UASI funds, they get to apply. But making the assumption that we will have UASI funds.
Was there a decision made back when we had the discussion or just discussion last?
It was just that there were a lot of them last year.
A lot of projects that could have fallen into the UASI bucket that were
Yes,
applied through SHSP.
yes, yes.
What's the status of UASI right now?
It's, as far as we know, we are under the assumption we will have it again this year. Indiana didn't change a whole lot on risk. I think Indianapolis also didn't, but I haven't seen their.
How competitive is that fund for a project like those?
So, and you can correct me if I go outside the bounds here, but, generally the UWOG, so the Urban Area Working Group, looks at projects that will benefit the whole area and kind of divvies the money up between the different departments Just like Hamilton County, here's a bucket for you, IMPD, this is what your needs are. Okay, we all agree that those are really important and will help everybody. So we'll go with that. IFD gets, ISP, all those things, well, Fusion Samaritan. And then kind of just look at each project and make sure everything makes sense for everybody.
I would say it's not that competitive.
It's not, it's more a,
We haven't walked away disappointed yet.
Yeah.
And I can say that we've even had entities in the UOG who, I don't have anything I need, like literally.
this year, but
Yeah,
consider
and
it
it's the
next,
next year,
make
yeah.
sure we get a
They might, and
chance
we'll
next time.
keep that in consideration. They didn't ask for anything last year. If they come in with
Mhm.
a bigger ask the next year, well, 100% as a group. It's very, so far, I'm very impressed. It works very well. And yeah,
And then a lot of the projects that we did fund through SHSP last year were the smaller departments. I think it was like an EOC for Westfield. Don't quote me on that because I'm kind of making things up. Can't remember what they are yet because we haven't had to award them yet. Or it was like radios for another department or something like that. So kind of what usually gets funded out of UASI is overall. And what we did fund last year out of SHSP was more individual departments.
Did we end up denying any applications from a jurisdiction that was eligible for UASI because they got UASI funds? Or, okay,
No, we kept them completely separate. Just looked at, here's your score for SHSP. And did they get funded or not? Not where they were at.
so the question now is, do we modify that a little bit?
Right. And or if we get projects for Marion Hamilton County, do we pass them on to the UR to decide? Or make them just straight up apply to them in the first place? Or leave it open and they can get SHSP money, no problem. Well, not no problem, but.
How do we,
same hoops everyone else.
what's our,
Yeah, same chance as everybody else.
and what's our timeline between the two programs?
They're the exact same.
So we'll know while we're evaluating
Mhm.
the project.
Although as they come in, whether they're, where they go or could go.
My personal thought on this is we keep it the way it is. Let everybody apply for whichever program seems the most appropriate. And during the evaluation process, if we feel that maybe there's 2 or 3 different projects that potentially could become one under the UASI or with the UOG, then UOG, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Then maybe we try to figure that out during the process. I don't, again, kind of to the earlier point. UASI could go away, right? And if we decide today that you can only apply to UASI and then to get back together, and we would, but why put ourselves in that corner? I think we let everybody apply for projects that are appropriate for the program. And then if there's a better way to do it, that we see on paper, once we get all the applications, then we can say, all right, Marion and Hamilton counties, you've all asked for similar things. Why don't we package it together under UASI and get more bang for the buck over here?
Do we need a motion on this or just a discussion? 'Cause I heard a motion in there.
I think we're all these decisions the same.
Yeah.
Motion, second, vote.
Okay. So I'll move, we keep the
Can I-
program set.
Clarify,
Yeah.
just to make sure I understand, because it's gonna come back to me
Yeah.
one way or the other. Okay, so your motion, what I heard you say was we allow it as we have for years, and then look at what those Marion Hamilton County projects are and maybe funnel them to UASI if it makes sense.
because the UO will be applying for the WASB funds as well, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
One of the things that we picked up from last year when this kind of conversation came out, because we were talking, those of us on UOP, and we discovered some of the smaller agencies within that area had applied for things like, why did they not come to us first?
Mhm.
And so part of it is want to be a little bit more proactive. It was more on the Hamilton County side, but I think I've even had
There was
one
some
entity within Marion County, include, I think parts of my agency with the health department kind of went on their own, but never talked to their health department about nor me. So we're gonna fix that, we hope, with just more proactive communication. So we're clear. If you're asking for it and it matches, we should just be going together. Because I can tell you it's way easier if one of us is doing the application versus, multiple people. But that should help a little. And then I think there'll still be those one-offs where the Westfield decides it's completely separate. And it probably is. It might be so small, so to speak, that it's not worth packaging. There's nothing that we're already doing at a level that would make sense. But I think we've all at that level want to hear that Westfield has that need. So we put that back on him and kind of make sure you're doing the same thing we're gonna do this year. Or I'll go out and touch base with everyone I know that would be interested in this. And just make sure, let me know, just so I'm tracking, because I might be putting in for something at the larger level that matches this, and that's a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah, if you think about it as truly a region, right? Uwazi could be maybe available for the region.
Absolutely.
And then if it's SHSP, it really is down specific to an entity, right? Or an organization. And without the desire to maybe share and play nice, not that they wouldn't, but it's not for the benefit of the entire region, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be ideal.
Okay, I
And know that-
understand that.
And I know that's
We
probably
can
not super easy on paper to figure out, but maybe, collectively, we can all say, all right, we got 3 similar projects here within the Uwazi area.
Well, and also I can take and go, okay, here are all the Marion and
Yeah.
Hamilton County
That
projects
helps too.
and what we scored them. So you can kind of see where we would rank them or where we rank them normally. And take them to the UOG and say, okay, are there any of these that belong over here? Then whatever's left, I'll take back and see if they scored high enough to even get funded on SHSP side anyway. And that would be my interpretation of what you're about to motion.
I think I already made the motion.
Or to make the motion.
All right, I'll move that we keep the application process the same as it has been, which is entities and agencies can apply for either or. And we will evaluate collectively projects that may be better in one bucket or the other.
I second that.
Okay, motion and a second, and any further discussion? All right,
All right, Jonathan Wickham.
yes.
Joshua Geezy.
Yes.
Joshua Keeler.
Yes.
Smith Jean.
Yes.
Bill Zacher. Andy Bond.
yes,
Steve King.
Agree?
Eric Easel. Brian Baird.
Yes.
Kevin Hobson.
Yes.
Jack Seeks.
Okay, good deal.
Excellent. I appreciate you all making these decisions so that I can get the word out if needed, from the get-go. All right, schools. This last year, we determined that the public schools are technically eligible because they're government entities, but they have access to the Secured School Safety Grant, and they're pretty likely to get it as long as they ask for eligible items. They may not get all of it. They will get some for sure. And last year we determined that public schools should not be eligible for SHSP due to that other bigger bucket that they can apply for. So confirming that we are sticking with the same situation or same rules, or not.
Is there anything in SHSP that they would be eligible for that they aren't out of the secured school safety program? If you're aware.
Not that I'm aware.
So if they want to apply for a camera system or door locks or whatever, they potentially could apply through SHSP, but they should be applying through secured school safety, which is right now, $27.5 million bucket
Mhm.
versus the much smaller state bucket of SHSP.
Right.
I'll make a motion that we continue to exclude public schools from applying for SHSP and direct them to the secured school safety grant program. Second cycle. Motion and second, any discussion? I'll second, sorry.
Discussion. My thought on that is that allowing that to continue puts more stress on the time that you guys have, IDHS, because you got more grants to work over. It's not a problem.
We just make them, if they do apply anyway, we just tell them, A, you're not eligible, and add them to our list of people that we're gonna deny eventually, no matter what.
Okay.
Not a problem on our side. They're already applying to schools, so
So we will make it clear on the note
Yep.
that schools are not
Yep.
eligible to apply.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good.
we don't always read. All right,
Any other discussion?
oh, we can vote, sorry. Okay, are we ready to vote? More discussion? Johnson Witham,
Yes.
Joshua Geezy,
Yes.
Joshua Keeler,
Yes.
Hima Jane,
Yes.
Joel Thacker, Andrea Vaughn,
yes,
Steve Kane.
Yep.
Eric Hazel, Ryan Baird,
Yes.
Kevin Hobson,
Yes.
and Jack Seats. Okay, now scoring. Is there anything we want to change about how SHSP has been scored? I do have them with me. Actually, I can just pop it up here on the. 1 second.
I'll just comment while you're doing that. It seems to be working okay as it is.
Okay. So right now we score them on the core capability, which is the chart based on Thyra, Hyra, SBR. Where they pick a core capability. And then if it's a high priority, they get 5 points. If it's medium, 3, and so on. And nothing's changing on the core capabilities for this year. As far as the state of Indiana. And we're still working on implementing a local score that would also correspond. But that won't happen this year. They're working out some new systems. Joshua, his other person they're really good at working on it.
How
So
many core capabilities are there?
there are 30.
There are 32 core capabilities.
And all but 3, I believe, are, yeah, 3 are eligible. So housing, natural and cultural resources, and fire management are not a priority for this grant, and everything else is either high or medium. So, and then we score them on how they correspond that core capability to their project. They have to link them together or they don't score well on that. This is something we've been going out doing some grant writing training. And this is something we are pounding on really hard during those trainings. So far, we've gone to 3 districts with 3 more getting scheduled.
So can I just say something a little bit about this whole process that we've been using? So for the last 8 years that I've been doing the Tyra hire, I've come to find out there is some gaps which I want to institute a program, a process on how to close gaps. Where if a county applies for a grant request, to try to close probably a gap in cybersecurity. I'm trying, the process I'm creating right now, I'm working on creating is we want to be able to go back in the next thyroid year to verify that in that thyroid year, you're not saying you still have a gap in cybersecurity because you already got a grant. And we want to see how did you close it. In that thyroid year, we want to see this gap was closed so that you don't come back 3 years later and say, I have a gap in cybersecurity and apply again. So I'm working to create a process where grants can check with me or planning and see, okay, Hamilton County is applying for a cybersecurity grant. In their FIRA, did they actually say they have a gap in cybersecurity? And then I'll tell grants, yes, they did. Here's a copy of their FIRA and you can verify. Let's say yes, check mark, yes, you did. 2 years from now, once they apply and get it, we can come back and see, oh, they did close this stuff. So that gap is what we're trying to close to verify in our documentation that that really did take place. Because right now we have this documentation that's going on.
Yeah, yes, kind of get the compliance on the back end.
Exactly. And the other thing is it's going to clean our data collection process because for a good part of it, I've seen agencies, counties just submit, click, just to say I completed my file and I'm compliant with HC or FEMA regulations. But they really are not putting the weight to complete this process. So moving forward, what we're going to be doing is have counties be held accountable for their HIRA, which is going to be a requirement for them to submit every year. And then that HIRA is going to be used to create their HIRA scenarios, because the way we're doing it in the web EOC is as each EMA submits their HIRA, hazard identification risk assessment, we're creating an algorithm where it's going to be in live data, aggregating your submissions. And at the end of the year, it will see what's your highest threat. So from your highest threat, that's where you're going to create your TYRA scenarios. If a tornado occurs in my county, I can only attend to this number of people, and this is my gap. So when you're applying for a grant, we want to see a request tailored for how you're going to mitigate a tornado. We don't want to see a grant request for debris removal, something not related to a tornado. So we want to start tying grant applications to your HIRA and your FIRA and not feel good applications. Because down the road, we also want to tie all this process to your training. So I had a gap in cybersecurity. I applied for a grant. I got it. And I'm also going to take this cybersecurity training and not take training, which is feel good because it just feels good. Because that's what I've also seen. So training is going to be zeroed into your hazards and your grant. So that's in a nutshell, that's a project we are working on towards cleaning data and all this is going.
It also helps get everybody to the table for the county.
Yes, absolutely.
So it adds some teeth on that side that, you know, maybe perhaps, I'm not saying this is happening, but let's say that IMPD wasn't talking to Marion County when they did all this stuff. And then IMPD applies for a grant, but it doesn't match anything that Marion County says. It gives the county more pull to get the county and get all the input that's needed to get what's really going on, so that it can benefit everybody. Anyway. Okay, so then they get points for things that are everything being allowable. I mean, these are easy points to get. Their terrorism, ties.
These are all questions that are based on the grant.
This is what the grant
Yeah.
program itself, yeah. And then this is the rubric that we use to score it, and we put it out there from the beginning, so it's not a surprise to the applicants. Yeah. If they choose to read it. Collaboration, just explaining how this will help everybody, which is what we want to help. And then we ask if they've been awarded, and they do get a little bump if they have not been awarded in the last 3 years. And then just if it's significant enough to warrant funding. And tied to the grant.
Yeah, as long as all those questions are still relevant to the program,
Right.
which they, sounds like they are.
They should be.
There's, there's a little bit of, I don't know, not bias, but obviously someone has to look at this and score it, right? So it's not like, it's not automated. You don't get a score after you apply, someone has to review it. So have we had any issues with that? Have we had?
Not necessarily, it's just if we're gonna change it, now's the time to change. Before we roll it out. 3 people will review every single grant like we have in the past.
We received any complaints from applicants about this process?
We have, but once the grant writing training, we make them score some applications. And once they understand how it works, they seem to get it a lot better. So that's really actually, because the grant writing training, we kind of focused on SHSP for the 3 that we've done. Because it's the next grant that's gonna come open. And it's the one we have the most thorough explanation of everything. And I could talk about it all day, all night, obviously. So, I think they understood it better after having done it.
Okay.
And so we're trying to roll that out to anybody that wants it.
Yeah, it's a good process.
Yeah, it seems transparent. So.
We try. So if there's nothing here that you want to change, that's totally fine. We just wanted to make sure you had the opportunity. This is more an opportunity than.
Roll with the process.
To vote on that.
I'll move that we maintain the same scoring questions and process for with this next cycle of grants.
I second it.
Okay, any other discussion?
All right, Jonathan,
Yes.
Joshua Keezy,
Yes.
Joshua Kelu,
Yes.
Hammond Jane,
Yes.
Joel Zacher, Andrea Bond,
yes,
Steve Kane,
Check.
Eric Gazel, Brian Baird,
Yes.
Kevin Hobson,
Yes.
Jack Seeks. And then the next one, are there any specific priorities that the SAC would, any kinds of projects that we would like to make a priority this year? Whether we put that in the NOFO or it's just something for us to consider when we're trying to help recommend funding choices. There doesn't have to be, I just wanted to put it out there if there was.
Looks like Andrea.
Go ahead.
Alerts and warnings equipment possibly. I know we have the big alerts and warnings group that we did, so I just thought that might be a priority for a lot of people now.
Right,
Trick with that is they have to tie it to terrorism.
Yeah.
They can do it. We've funded tornado or rather alert warning sirens before, but they have to make the tie. But it's.
I was
definitely
thinking,
so maybe mass communication
Yeah.
tools, or at least that might be the way to.
that's kind of what I was thinking is that mass communication tools, because I know a lot of counties are lacking that and a lot of counties lost their ability to do iPods because of their vendor back in January. So just a thought.
Okay.
Drones and counter drones not be on this list, right?
Well, you already said they're lower priority.
Lower.
So, well, that's the other thing. What else? Is there other things that need to be lower priority?
What are, just real quickly, if we can, what are some things that we've seen the last few cycles that are either up and coming or that we've seen a lot of requests for?
We've seen radios are always a huge request from this grant.
Okay, and are they are eligible from
They
these?
are, as long as they tie it to terrorism.
Okay.
Which anybody can make them tie to terrorism if they try. We saw some training, like buildings come up the last couple of times. Like having this stuff to reconfigure it for various trainings, which we actually liked those. I don't know, I can't remember if they got funded or not. But that's something that was new last year, that we hadn't seen before.
Like modular
Mhm.
structures.
Mhm. Or like they had a building and they wanted to get the stuff to move it around.
Does that include virtual reality?
Yep, some of that too. Or it was integrated into it, I can't remember. Been a minute, I read those. But I know that was something that was new that I hadn't seen before.
Were there any troubles with the AELs, like matching any of those pieces of equipment?
No, I think we found them,
Okay.
because they talked to us and said, please help me
I'm thinking
figure
about
this
the
out.
virtual reality, that's newer.
Yeah.
So is there anything
No,
there?
there was a way, or there was a vague one that we
Okay.
could tie it into. And I'd have to look to see which one,
Okay.
which way we did that one.
We just put it in Johnson County in our trainings, law enforcement training facility. It's been an unbelievable asset. I would, bet that we would get engaged in that.
With the new tasers, really cool headset, and you can practice with it. It's wild.
It is cool.
Andrea, if you can hear me, where would you say radios would fit on the priority list, high or low?
So I've already gotten requests from people asking me to endorse their projects for 2026 and the NOFO isn't even out. So it's probably going to be high again this year. I like the grant funding for radios, but I kind of use that if you teach a man to fish rather than just give him a fish, it helps. And that's kind of what we're seeing back in, I think it was 2015 maybe. There were a lot of grants for radios. A lot of people got radios with the grants, and now they're back to, oh, hey, well, we need more grants for radios rather than trying to plan how to fund their own radios. So I'm all about helping people get radios. Obviously, it's what I do and it's important, but I also really want to help educate people on don't rely on grants for radios. This is equipment that you need to plan for.
Are there, in your opinion, are there agencies out there that are so behind on that technology that this grant could benefit them by getting them into the system instead of sustaining what they've already got? And
Yeah.
could we prioritize maybe new entries onto the state system?
Sure, we could do that. One of the problems though is it's a lot of volunteer fire and a lot of volunteer fire are 501(c) charities, which they have to apply through EMA, right, Rachel?
Yeah.
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 So if they can work with their EMA, we can help them. But that's where we see a lot of the people who need help right now is volunteer fire.
So could we, in the NOFO, just again, in the interest of being clear and transparent and letting people know what at least our group is prioritizing, could we say projects that are sustaining existing radio systems or updating existing radio systems will be low on the priority list, but if you are applying for radios to get onto the state system, then that would be a higher priority, but it would need to be through your county emergency management agency.
I think that's important, the way you said it.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
I mentioned something, can I say something? So,
No.
so I see where you're going with this frame thought. Working with all 92 counties, it's going to bring up an area of discussion with some of these small counties
Mhm.
that have volunteer firefighters or responders, based on the fact that I've seen where the EMA is also working in dispatch and is stretched thin. And for them to even, lack of better terms to use, be versatile on the process of the application for radio request grant might cause a little challenge.
Okay.
So I like the idea, but we also have to look at on the end side of it, the recipient side of it, the applicant side of it, the fact that this is a small county, Owen County, Ripley, whatever. And the EMA is stretched thin with so many processes. For a volunteer firefighter to approach the EMA and say, hey, can you please work with me to put a grant request for radios, yada, yada, yada. That EMA might be a little bit struggling in the process of the application. And I'm basing this on data which I have on who actually completes their HIRA to identify this is the gap I have in my community. These small communities don't complete a comprehensive HIRA SDR. That's what the gap is. Yeah, so for us to come up with, for us to kind of go down this route, it might be creating more burden than a solution to a small county. And we won't be reaching out to solve their problem, which right now they don't submit the data to show, hey, state, this is where my gap is. But if you talk to them, they'll tell you this is where my gap is. And if you tell them, okay, do the application, they'll let you know what, forget about it. So I'm saying all this to say, if there is a simple way we can tell the Owens and the Ripleys, this is a condensed version for you to apply for this radio application, radio program, do this. Probably that will work, then creating more bureaucracy for them. And that's what that's what I've been struggling with for the last 8 years.
And I think also we need to, most of our radios and the funding we use comes through our 911 center because of the collaborative 911 centers that we have today. And that state funding's now been cut. So we're gonna have a lot of funds that aren't gonna be available to these smaller counties for funds that would have to do with radios because of that. And then secondary is that volunteer fire fighters can work through their township trustees for funds for those type of things too.
And that also is fine. The
that-
trustee
that
could
you want.
also apply for,
But I
Or
think
you
more
can.
through them than anywhere else, even EMA, I think more through the trustees because tornado warning sirens and that come through the trustees most of the time too, to those volunteer departments to get put into places that they think they're needed.
Yeah.
So
I forgot about the trustees or the cities or the towns, any of those, volunteer fire could go through any of those.
trustees being the strongest, especially with the hoarded funds that they have
Yeah.
that we're working on, as everybody knows, and try to merge those and make those better.
The
So I think
biggest-
that's gonna be an issue if we don't at least give them that opportunity or make sure they understand that opportunity is there. If there's any way for us to be able to do that, I don't know how that would work.
Because we have casual radios which are being surplus and put them in a lot where they can be redeployed to as an agency or county or whoever gets all these new radios, they can be quote unquote hand-me-downs and be put to good use to the volunteers in these small counties at a very minimal paperwork.
We've utilized that process.
Yeah.
Taking our radios down as we upgrade or,
Yeah, I mean, that would be,
and then we do the programming also, 911.
yeah,
Too.
because right now we have, and I don't want to talk for Andrew here, but, you know, as applications come for new radios, which are 2, 3, 4 years old, they're still usable. They just need to be reprogrammed to the frequencies of the particular agencies and mutual aid or whatever. And the process will be just very, I'm not saying I know how to do it, but I'm just throwing this out. We have a process of where it's a minimal paperwork requirement process for the hand-me-downs for these.
And as they move toward the Locrucian process, which is what most counties are moving toward, that those radios would be able to be used in that process also, which does your closest, nearest, best call outs for those pieces of equipment. So that could all be programmed into that too.
Kind of the problem we see with that though is the hand-me-down radios aren't 2 and 3 years old, they're 10 or more years old, and then they're out of service and not eligible to be on the system. So it kind of works that way, but a lot, like I said, a lot of the radios that we're talking about where they're hand-me-down, they've already reached their full potential and are no longer eligible on the system. But I mean,
What
if
about- Go ahead, Andrea.
no, I'm just saying if a county would apply and say, hey, we have, you know, we can buy X amount of used radios and they're still within scope that they can still be put on the system. Obviously, yeah, that's a good project, but not a lot of that happens, unfortunately.
Do we think that the radio problem is mostly volunteer fire?
Well, honestly, it's volunteer fire. It's a lot of your smaller police departments or marshal's offices. I've already been hit up by Trafalgar Fire, so Brian, just to let you know.
And I knew they were doing that. Just
Are they on
Yeah.
the system right now, Trafalgar, or would they be?
They're on now, so
Okay, so that's a
Yeah.
sustained project, right?
yeah, they're on the Locrucian and all that.
Yeah.
At this point.
And since we're just talking about priorities, I, we, how long was this scheduled? Was it an hour and a half? Just an hour. Make sure we don't go too far over on time.
It was just an hour.
Okay, all right. So just to try to tie this up if we can, unless there are other high priorities that we want to talk about. for radios, again, I'm with Andrea. The bucket of money we're talking about is so small that we could eat it all up very quickly with just radios, right?
Yes.
And so if we're talking about priorities, maybe we talk about new entries onto the system for departments that aren't currently on the system that need to be. And that could be law enforcement, fire, EMS, emergency management, whatever. And with the highest priority given to entities who have built in almost a match. Like if there's collaboration with your township trustee or your county where there will be I don't know, some skin in the game for that local government as well. So that we can start to build in that, the idea that it's kind of a one-time grant to get you onto the system. And then you need to start building this into the budget moving forward, right?
And I think the connection between that and some other financial skin in the game, like the trustees, we just don't utilize that system like
Yeah.
we should be utilizing that system. That's why we've had trouble with it for so many years. So I think to make that part of the process is to push that they have skin in the game, like you're saying, from some other entities.
Yeah.
Because they'll abuse it if you don't.
Exactly. Okay, one final thought, Hemet, are there any cybersecurity initiatives that you think should be priorities here that wouldn't already be covered by maybe SLCGP or?
No, nothing that comes to mind right now. When we reviewed these, I believe last year, we would see some of them come through for newer firewalls or other type of equipment. And we ranked them based upon, the others that came in on what we saw was need, along with Andrea's comments on like new, right? Net new radios or net new equipment versus something that was sustaining, to be able to really move the needle from where an entity was versus just someone who's using, the funding just to sustain their current operation. So going back to your question, no, I don't think there's anything different or new that should be called out over here, versus compared to what's already on SLCGP or other opportunities.
All right, good, thanks.
Mhm.
So is there a desire in the room to make a motion to specifically call out that maybe the two things that we've talked about today, or do we want to just keep it open-ended as far as priorities? And I think the two things that were mentioned were mass communication software, which would have that tie back to terrorism, and potentially some version of the radio discussion. Net new, I like that. And potentially with that collaborative piece with a local funding stream, township, trustee, or county, or city, or whatever.
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion? We got a motion? Do we have a second? Any further discussion on those priorities being called out in the NOFO? All right, let's take a vote.
All right, Jonathan Witham,
Yes.
Joshua Geesey,
Yes.
Joshua Philo, Amos Quinn,
Yes.
Joel Thacker, Andrea Vaughn,
Yes.
Steve Kane,
Yes.
Eric Hazel, Brian Baird,
Yes.
Evan Hobson,
Yes.
and Jack Seamus. Okay, I just have one more thing, promise. It's more just if there's anything we want to change to the process. So are we still good with the cap of 150,000? That number allows for some of the bigger projects than any other grant that we have access to at the moment. And then allowing only 2 applications per organization, 1 national priority and 1 enduring need. It helps limit things a little bit. Any changes to those? Those are really the 2 big parts that I wanted to confirm that we want to keep the same.
Do we ever hear that the 150 cap prevents someone from asking for something that we would?
I mean, they ask for things like Bearcats, but if they show me that they've got their city or county or whatever in mind to cover the rest of it. Yeah, but it's high enough that they can cover things like half of the Bearcat or, a large portion of their, mobile command unit. Another one we see a lot of, this, some of the bigger number stuff.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm thinking that if at 150,000 a worthy cause, there's gonna be other game anyway, other entities, so. I think that just, it's more of an incentive for them to collaborate and work with other things to make it. We're gonna see a lot of this collaboration now that we've got cuts in property taxes at the local levels and things, so.
And that's why we put collaboration as one of our scores too.
And I think that's going to be really, really necessary, continue forward.
But we don't make any changes to the current application form.
We
Second.
have a second.
But-
Yeah.
Okay, Jonathan Windham,
Yes.
Joshua Geezy,
Yes.
Joshua Kelu,
Yes.
Emmett James,
Yes.
Phil Thacker, Andrea Bond,
Yes.
Steve Kane.
Yep.
Eric Hazel, Brian Baird,
Yes.
Kevin Hobson, Zach Seeks. All right, that's all I have. Everything else is just on the charter. What we're gonna amend once we get the NOFO is updating everything to 26. Updating whoever's on the board. And all references that currently reference the 25 NOFO will be updated to 26. And to the preparedness grant manual. But anyway, that will all be sent out before the next meeting. We will vote on it the next meeting and then do the really quick sign. Whoever's in the room will sign physically and then we'll send it to whoever's not for DocuSign. And then, was there anything else?
The electronic meeting policy will be updated too, just technical edits, so just be.
So we'll do the same thing with that. Right?
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, call the roll. We've already.
All right.
got 100
Jonathan
times.
Windham.
Let's do it right.
Joshua Geezy.
Yes.
Joshua Kelu. Heyman Jane.
Yes.
Joel Thacker. Andrea Bond.
Yes.
Steve Kane.
Yep.
Eric Hazel. Brian Baird.
Yes.
Kevin Hobson. Becky.
Great.
Thank you guys so
Great-
much.
Great meeting, great discussion. Thank you all very much for
Thanks, everyone.
taking some extra time out of your day.
Thank you.
Anytime, Doctor. I mean, I'm fully charged. You can have it
I
for a
made
bit.
it. You can't like say you have to be like 51 minutes. I'm like, what do I?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all you do. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Buddy.
Thanks for coming.
Nice seeing everybody.
Yeah, good to be here.
Back.